Cybersecurity, risk, liability, that should be Chefsache. But how about the dilemmas of the CISOs in that? Looking forward. Welcome, this is CISO TV, and actually it's a special of free editions. And why free editions? Because it's that time of the year again, it's about CISO Day. And if you talk about CISO Day, we talk about CISO of the Year Award. And what do we do in these free specials? We are gonna pronounce not only the nominees for it, and in this case, in this edition, Walter. And Walter is the CISO from Het CAK.
Yes.
Welcome. Not nervous, I trust?
No, I'm okay.
Just a normal tension,
yes,
so to speak.
exactly.
The daily tension in your profession anyhow. Right, there we go. We are looking for having a great conversation and putting, of course, Walter a little bit in the spotlight. But we always have some tech leaders on the bench, so to speak, and to have a fair discussion. And let me introduce you in short. You will see the name tags coming on, where they are and the roles. Good old Simon, and see you. Happy to see you again.
Good to see you again.
How are you today?
I'm doing very well. I'm enjoying the sun.
You're enjoying the sun. Yeah, well,
in the studio.
In the studio. it's a big sun at this stage. Of course, I got one of the jury members also on the bench, Job Amrop. We're going to do a deep dive on some profiles, right?
Of course, yeah. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, looking forward. And last but certainly not least, Robbert, welcome. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah. So you think what is going to happen today, right?
Yeah, we'll see. Well, like Simon said, the sun is out, so
it's bright.
Will be a happy conversation.
Great. So let's start, gents. And I always wanted to start with that so-called 30 seconds of state of mind. We're talking about cybersecurity, but also risk liability. We talk about the resilience versus the growth or the transformations within your organizations, like the operating model, business model, etc. We talk about, well, suddenly sovereign discussion X, Y, Z. We see a lot of things are happening from a global perspective, so to speak. So in this profession, where you are today, Simon, what are your 30 seconds state of mind in this?
Sovereignty. Actually, sovereignty has become the most important topic for me because sovereignty affects everything else. It's actually more important than AI, I think, because your AI decision is based on what's the sovereignty position that you have to think about. That's new for me. And then, honestly, AI agents, mostly they're everywhere. Mostly, like, what are we doing about it? How are we managing it? What risk does it present? Super interesting.
So your game is sovereignty today as top of mind?
Yeah.
Right. Thanks. Walter?
Yeah, I think sovereignty, of course, for the Dutch government is very important. Also, AI is very exciting. What's happening at the moment? New things are popping up every day. So, yeah, it's a lot of work for new things.
So your state of mind is shit, a lot of work.
Yeah, let's be innovative.
Let's be innovative. Well, that's a way to handle that, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Job, your 30 seconds state of mind here.
Do the organizations and companies have the right CISO in their organization? That's the key question for me. And I think this award is a good example for these companies to look at top CISOs.
Right. And I trust that is from a mutual perspective also, is your organization fit for the future in regards to is the role and what is...
Yes,
right,
definitely.
that combination, yeah. Great anchor, great anchor. Robbert?
Yeah, so I think to the point of the gentleman over there, AI is everywhere at the moment. We see companies at different stages of the adoption. Sovereignty seems to be everywhere these days in the Netherlands. So also something that's on the mind of customers and that keeps us busy.
Right. All right. Well, you see, ladies and gentlemen, flavors, different flavors, and that means different sound bites, and that's good because we're gonna do a half an hour inspirational, getting things at the table, and look where we can have a little discussion on the pros and the cons for X, Y, or Z. So let me start with you, of course, Walter. So the dynamics within your role, but also, of course, in conjunction with your organization, Het CAK. So where are the dynamics for you?
Of course, in resilience, we have a lot of customer data of vulnerable Dutch citizens. So protecting this data from malicious people is top priority.
Yep. And in terms of that data and that upcoming discussion about AI, etc. So where will be the dynamics going to for you?
Yeah, but because we are part of the Dutch government, we have to look at the Dutch government policies around AI. Mm-hmm. And they are being created at the moment. So it's still a bit of fuzzy what's allowed and what's not. But of course, we are looking forward to the perspective of AI. What can we do with it? Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's a big thing.
Yeah, but if you refer to that guardrails, right? Within AI, so there's a huge number of guardrails coming up, so to speak. It is often said that, well, from a European standpoint of view, we are putting it here, ethic.
Yeah.
We don't put it here, highly commercial, where you see some other geos, so to speak, they are totally here. We are here. Is that good or bad? Do we need that guardrails, or we have?
Yes, we do need guardrails, of course, because for the Dutch government, ethics are very important. Commercial, we're not a commercial. We want to reduce costs and upscale quality, so that can help us. But it's just starting.
Yeah.
So it's a long journey to go, and a lot of new things to learn for us.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to the next years.
So what are the developments behind that in this stage, Simon? So what are we looking at? There's so much coming. So how do you manage that, so to speak? What do you see from out of your interpretation as a CTO, right?
I think we've got to think through our tech decision making. Actually, I don't think anyone's currently buying anything or thinking about the tech transformation that's classically 5-10 years down the road. So that's gone, right? They invest in something and I'm good, I can come back to it. That's all changed. How prepared are we for that, I think, is an interesting question, partly back to sovereignty, right? Am I investing in something that is going to be the position that the government takes in 3 years' time? Or do I need to be a bit more circumspect and think about those things perhaps differently? I think that's coming. We don't know what the geopolitical landscape's going to be like next week or in 12 months' time. So at least have a position on it and define how you want to think about the risk your organization wants to take. And I'm trying not to talk about technology at the moment because the tech thing's changing so rapidly. What do I need? Yep. How do I make a decision about what I need? Do I try and buy everything in one place? Yeah. I don't know. I think that world is changing as well. Or do I actually need to think about making smaller decisions? Yeah. Buy versus build, maybe as well.
You see, nice in conjunction with that discussion about that future fit organization. You see, maybe the discussion future fit tech. What does that mean? What does it mean from ecosystems perspective, and in terms of co-creation, build, buy, profiles?
Yes.
So what's the big thing there?
So you need more agility, more outside-in concept from that perspective to learn. You need to be becoming a learning organization, and the CISO on top of that. Much more business focus, also understanding the global impact. So the role is really growing in that sense. And becoming more and more important.
Right.
Yeah.
And similar kind of discussions at your end with your customers. Is that developing these discussions?
Yeah, I think so, and I think also the role of the CISO there is very important because you're not just a security leader; you're actually a business leader, and we're currently in dynamics where innovations are following each other in a pace we've not seen before. So that's complex. You need to manage that, and I think instead of making trade-offs between speed and security, we need to look at how we build the architectures that can support both simultaneously.
Yep. So you had a couple of positions previously, also Walter, within the government, right? SSC, ICT, and Ministry of Justice, and
I've seen a lot of the government.
Is that also in your sense? Is that changing differently, also within the public sector, as you can see?
Yeah, it's the whole public sector is facing the same dilemmas.
Right.
And we have to embrace it, but the geopolitical discussion makes it difficult.
Right.
Because everything is American tech. Right. And how can we make constraints, or do we have to use European alternatives? And are they as good as the Americans? That's the dilemma we're facing.
Right.
You can build a data center with open source products, but it won't work the same as the big hyperscalers from the US.
Right. So you see different stories if you look from the public perspective and the private perspective. So we see a little bit, well, let's say a too nervous hype now, saying, okay, sovereign is A, right? But if you really look from continuity, right, and you look from a board level and for stakeholder management X, hey guys, I don't know what you want to do, but I'm not going to change X, Y, Z because then I'm dead, right? Then my business model, my operating model is not functioning anyhow, right? In the next 10 years. Do you see the shift or the big differences in those two elements?
I think every regardless of the sector, we're going to go through the same challenge. It's just when we hit it. I actually think that the government, particularly the kind of more highly regulated government and other spaces, have the advantage of watching what's going to play out in the next 6 months and then learning that lesson and hopefully avoiding some of the mistakes that I'm sure will be made. But it's whether or not, I guess, you can influence some of the policy makers. But honestly, I think it's the same problem. It's just when it comes to you.
Different timeline.
Yeah.
The advantage is we're not a startup.
Exactly.
So we can cut down the pace and make the right decisions for the organization and the business, of course.
Because we were having a conversation earlier on that there's a lesson to be learnt here in all of this big change, because we went through something similar when we moved to the cloud. Yeah. And the second movers were able to look at all the mistakes the first movers made and adapt. And I actually think we should learn that lesson now. And so I think potentially government's in an interesting place, but it has to learn the lesson, right?
Yeah, but it's where can we learn it? And it's such a big pace in changes.
Yeah.
What's new today is prehistoric next week.
Well, at least in our industry and sitting here on the bench like this, we have seen the movie got the T-shirt, so to speak, right? In a couple of big transformations or changes for the industry. But suddenly it comes all together. Do you see the difference of the discussions with public and private in that perspective on your end?
I think the difference that I see there is I think the influence of policymakers. So I think when you're working in public sector, you're trying to change things within your organization, but then you also have that policymaker layer that sits on top of that is also continuously evolving. So I think you have to make a lot more adjustments if you're working in public. So and what I see in private is, it's a bit more dynamic, so you can make decisions and also commit to it without having the risk that a policy maker is changing something that impacts the decisions you've made already.
Right. See we different profiles for the CISOs in both public and private, and also see we different change in the profile in role and task?
Yeah, I mean, it's two different industries, right? I mean, the one is much more regulated than the other one. I mean, compared to the two, if you have very regulated businesses, then you see similarity, but...
Yeah, banking and...
Yeah, but that's privately run, so there's more funding. So therefore you have different profiles than in the government sector. And the complexity in the government sector is even bigger than in the bank because of so many stakeholders, so many guardrails. So what you see, and we had, of course, the first winner from the CISO award coming out of the government, is a stakeholder management is really, really important in that role.
Right. Do you see that changing by the night or the day, so to speak, Walter? Is that fun?
Yeah, it's fun. It's really fun. And the dynamics of the organization and also the policies that are changing create a dynamic that it's never dull.
No.
And if you have a good plan, you can execute it. But you always have to adapt it to the policies, what's happening, geopolitical, is really dynamic.
Yeah.
And I'm here to protect the business and help the business to have a secure environment to work in.
Right.
And that's
But it asks
goal.
also a lot of yourself, right? From a leader's
Yeah.
perspective, but also from your knowledge perspective,
Yeah.
also from how to manage your capacity and capability from your organization in terms of.
Yeah, we talked about it before. I'm working for more than 3 decades in IT, and everything I've learned in the 30+ years, I need in this role,
Right.
and that's fun. And it's not one thing or the other. I need it all.
Yeah.
I need to communicate with the guys on the working level.
Yeah.
I need to communicate the right way with the board.
Yeah.
And I need all of my skills that I've learned in the past for this role. And that's
Is that one of your success factors? That you put it in het rugzakje,
Yeah.
the backpack, right? All that. Is that is that one?
yeah,
of-
I think so. I think
Right.
so. Yeah.
Great. Let's do a Moody. Het CAK.
Bij het CAK zetten we ons in voor de toegankelijkheid en betaalbaarheid van de zorg. Ruim 1,5 miljoen burgers hebben jaarlijks met ons te maken. Voor hen willen we ons werk duidelijk en in één keer goed doen. We zorgen dat zij, waar dat kan, zaken zelf snel en gemakkelijk kunnen regelen. Onze collega's van het KCC staan dagelijks klaar voor burgers die meer begeleiding willen of nodig hebben. Zij luisteren, helpen mensen verder en bieden waar nodig een passende oplossing. Want ook al gaat ons werk veel over cijfers en processen, uiteindelijk draait het om mensen.
Yep. What always is, from a Moody perspective, it says more than 1,000 words often. Where is the change in those 3 elements? You see, the people are central, right?
Yeah.
What is the change there in terms of the services you need to provide? But you see the processes and the data, right?
Yeah.
So there's that 3 angle. So where's that dynamic for you? What is changing fastest?
I think the way that we process the data. So we did a big life cycle on our application landscape. So we are getting better processes to help the customers in a better way, and deliver secure solutions to the business.
Right.
And we support the most vulnerable people here in the Netherlands. So it's important that we do it secure.
Right. Is that also the change in the operating model for het CAK? Is the world changing also in that type of services and therefore also your operating model?
Not really in the operating model, but of course we see that the organization is attacked 24/7.
Right.
And of course we do vulnerability scanning, etc. And the funny thing is, in 1 month, I saw an increase of 20% in malicious mail this month. 20% extra.
That's huge.
So that's huge.
Yeah.
And it's getting crazier and crazier every month.
Yeah. So we are now in a state of mind area in time that technology, economy, and society is getting much more closer to each other, right? Interlinked. So do you see that effects of change also for society-wise, for example, right? That has much more impact on the society than 10 years ago, 20 years ago, etc., right?
I mean, the short answer is yes. It's transformational. I think. I mean, it's interesting in your space because how do we use the tech to provide all of those improvements in the service, but not forget that it's still a service to a person, right?
Yeah.
Right.
How do we not forget the person element on it? Because we are still part, well, we're still hopefully an important part of that whole process. So how, as we leverage that new technology, do we make it work with and for us, not against us?
Yeah.
I mean, whether that's the discussion about replacement of.
Well, you have an incentive, Simon. If you screw up now, you will have that effect later on, right? So in the process, so you better get your act together here, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, totally. But we can't forget that this is all designed around stuff that ultimately we consume, we buy, all of those things.
Yeah.
So how do we make sure that that's part of our thinking? I think for me, when all of this comes together, how do we still reposition the role that we need to play in all of that?
So you see the same effects at your side, and make that one element extra is since the first in decades, we suddenly now have, from a private perspective versus your working environment, we have more tech in place from a private perspective than we have in a working surrounding, right? Is that a change? What you also foresee? What were you looking at?
Yeah, so, and I think that's an interesting point, especially the last point. If you look at technology, used to be provided by the company, and it would be secured by the company. What we see today is you see AI tools popping up everywhere. Some are regulated, controlled by your organization. But I think what we're seeing today as well is a massive increase on shadow AI, where all our end users are using the tools that they like most.
Yep.
And I think in the role of a CISO, the challenging part there is first of all, how do you get visibility on what's happening? Because it may happen outside your environment. And what do you do next? Are you going to block everything? Or are you looking for other control mechanisms that enable your users to innovate and improve their efficiency in a secure and controlled manner?
Right. Is that an effect that has also changed, let's say, not only the profile, but also role task? So you have to take in mind that there is a certain different level in the usage of technology, data, etc., from a private perspective versus as a person, right? As a society.
Yeah. Difficult. I mean, I think that it's more complexity from a leadership perspective to understand, what is coming into your work, into the office or into the work environment.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but if you always say no, then you have a different problem, right?
You get the shadow IT, which I mean, you can't control. I mean, people have two mobiles, so they're going to have the AI tool on their private mobile. You can't control that. It's guardrails, policy, stuff like that. But in the end, it's all around people, right? And the CISO is really focused on culture and building a culture which is resilient.
Could we imagine that we should, as an opposite of divide, that we should be that transparent that you not have to use that two phones, but having that one single element of, right? Or is that far away?
No, I believe in that concept.
Right.
You have to get the best tools for your personnel so they can do their job in the best possible way for your clients.
Right. But it's difficult, right? It's around trust. But the tools are so smart, and you get so there is so much risk. So it's complex.
Right.
For now, it's sometimes no.
No.
Because we want to do it on a regulated way. So with guardrails and
you have your regulation, you have your compliance.
Yeah.
So no is at least captured
for now. No.
For now, huh?
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
So let's go, ladies and gentlemen, with a little bit in-depth information extra, and we try also to have a little cliffhanger back to Walter. Where is he in the cliffhanger? CISO of the Year award. So let's start with the fact. I heard a couple of times within the community itself, it's a black box. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's a blue box, and I will tell you how it looks like. So we got a jury, 7 distinguished leaders in their fields. Chairman of the jury is the CISO Rijk at this stage. So we got a couple of folks in the jury that do assessments like Job. From a leadership perspective, we have a research question by Professor Locker Morel. So you need to go having your mindset on paper, so to speak, right? And she will challenge you that. We see also from an assessment perspective our friends from Gartner doing maturity assessments. So we have that angle. We also have the CISO of the year, the previous year before. She knows the story, but she's looking from a peer-to-peer. That's also one of the members of the jury is the CISO of Stedin, one of the members of the board of the CISO Platform Netherlands. And we got also anchored in Mr. Doorland, and he is advisory board because we see also that liability question is popping up much more. So also that aspect is angled. So these are a professional bunch of people. We have a process where we do the nominations. The nominations are done by the jury members and the board members of the CISO Platform Netherlands. And that piles up to a long list. And then we go into that long list, we go to the assessments, and then we go to a short list, and then we go into the whole laundry machine with the assessments, with the jury meeting, and of course your 180-second pitch on the day itself. That's the most killing one often, right? Only 180 seconds. And we do, of course, a couple of elements in terms of that. How do you, from an objective point of view, get your information done? So you're providing one of the elements here. So what do you do?
Yeah, so we do two things. First, we do a digital assessment, as the CISO is such an important leader in the digital transformation of a company, right? It's becoming more and more important. So it's good to look at the digital capabilities of such a leader, and that's benchmarked on a really interesting competency model. Which is around a couple of domains, 4 of them. One is strategy, so how do you support the business? How do you transform the business? The other one is on the organization. With AI coming, organizational design is becoming really important. You got the culture part, which is really key, right? Zero trust environment. And then you got the technical depth as well, on which the CISO also has. So the nominee is tested against that model and interviewed around that. And so here you got the different domains. Of course, this is a fake model. It's not Walter.
Mr. X, Mr. X.
It's Mr. X. And we also do a leadership assessment, and that's on the next slide.
Yep, there comes Frida into place
so
also,
my
right?
Colleagues, so they're looking really from a leadership competencies perspective. And are you more a transformational leader, or are you more a transactional leader? And there you're mapped into a model, and the CISO is positioned there. And that also gives really good insights, and what kind of CISO you are, and input to the scoring of becoming the CISO of the year, 2026. Right.
And then we go ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding. We want to have the cliffhanger up. So where is Walter?
Well, I can't comment on that. But he's a top contender.
Is it? Oh, right. So that's the cliffhanger. He's a top contender. We were looking for some extra. But we have to wait on that for May tournament. All right. Well, do we do more? Yes, we do a community view. So that means we are really looking. So what does Walter, from a mindset perspective, provides also in terms of his peer-to-peer view, right? So we have a bunch of peers that had an opinion about you. Yep, we know them. But also we look to the stakeholder management, right? From a perspective of stakeholder management, national, international, critical industries, etc. Yes. To have that weighting factor. So that's an interesting element. And that provides then, ladies and gentlemen, a full-scale assessment where we have a objective and a subjective insights of a candidate and his or her organization. And that means that all those insights are balanced in a jury meeting, and then it goes to the pitch. So if you want to call it a box, then at least call it a blue box and no longer a black box. Extensive.
Very extensive.
Yep.
It was a lot of work. I learned a lot already, so thank you for the insights. And it's quite a journey, so I like it. Yeah.
Good. Thanks.
And those are the feedbacks we always looking for, of course. But that, at least, ladies and gentlemen, then you understand what we try to do. Because, as said in Dutch, what we don't want to do is a Peppy and Cocky award, right? And you don't know the Peppy and Cocky award, right? No, but we know. It's serious because it's also serious business, right? Yep. So you cannot conduct with a friendly award by public voting or with let's look who is the nicest person in town this time. If we look to the do's and don'ts, and I just want to give some sound bites back to the audience, Simon. So you started with having that resilience versus sovereign, right? But what would you say do or don't to the CISOs in the Netherlands today? So what will be your golden buzzer?
The do is, I think, you need to start solving some of the stuff that's happening today. You can't put it off anymore. Decision making can be tough, budgets can be tough, but we have to start thinking about what is this new world? How do we secure and design for this AI agent, AI world? Because it's here. So do you have a good strategy? Are you doing something today? Because that's your opportunity.
Today is today.
Today is today.
Right. Fair one, Simon. Robert, what would be your do or don't for the CISOs?
Yeah, so let me start with the don't. I think we're now seeing developments at such a pace, and I think organizations need to embrace the change that's coming at them. So as a CISO, I think you also need to be part of the enablement of that movement. And I think where I see a critical role for CISO, so this is really the do, is if you're looking, for example, to AI innovations, get involved early in the process. Because if we can embed security by design, that means that you can basically move at pace without having delays later in the process.
Right, fair one. Job, what would be your golden nugget?
Yeah, don't focus too much on your own organization. There's a tendency, of course, because of so much pressure, that you focus as a CISO too much on your own CISO organization. It is really around building that relationship with the stakeholders and the business, and then starting to look at how to implement innovation. So working with the business and help pulling them in to make the change, and not the other way around. It's a real, otherwise you won't survive.
Yeah, I got it, I grasped it. Thanks. Walter, the famous words to your colleagues, because now they're hanging, as they say, at your lips, right? So take the camera, and what would be your do or don't for your peers?
Listen to your business, be innovative, and stay a step ahead of the rest. I think that's the key thing. And make sure that you have a plan. Because otherwise you'll be running around and nothing gets done. And get help. You're not alone. There are a lot of peers, partners who can help you. And if you're stuck, there's communities like the CISO community who has a lot of specialists who can help you.
Yep.
So that's my main takeaway.
Right. So you heard it from the man, so to speak, right? Do I have to mention anything else? Yes, of course. Why are we doing this? We're doing this for CISO Day. And when is CISO Day coming up? May 21st. Then it will be great. It will be the 3rd edition already. And what we always promise, bigger, better, bolder, right? Because indeed, the profession itself as a role CISO, but in terms of I think the anchoring in organizations, both public and private, from a technology point of view, cybersecurity, risk, and liability, is really Chefsache, right? Is getting closer and closer to failure or success, so to speak, right? So it's important. CISO Day, May 21. Do I have to say anything else? Yes, thank you for the discussion.
Pleasure.
Good luck. And 180 seconds is 180 seconds, all right? Yeah, that's a hard one. So, do I have to say anything else? Then thank you. No, later. Thank you.
Across Europe, CISOs are facing a new reality. Identity is now the front line of security as organizations and AI agents scale faster than governance can keep up. Autonomous AI is driving an explosion of identities, each demanding real-time control, visibility, and accountability. Saviynt secures over 100 million identities worldwide, trusted by leaders like IBM, Marriott, Shell, and Hertz, and recognized by analysts, including Gartner, Frost Radar, and EMA Radar. One platform, every identity, complete security for the AI-driven enterprise.